Liverpool's Mohamed Salah beaten to African Player of the Year award by PSG star. Liverpool winger Mohamed Salah has missed out on the African Footballer of the Year award, with Paris Saint-Germain's Achraf Hakimi scooping the coveted prize instead. Salah had been shortlisted for the award alongside Hakimi and Galatasaray's Victor Osimhen following a superb individual season in which he scored 34 goals and added 23 assists to help Liverpool to the Premier League title, as well as leading Egypt to qualification for next year's World Cup. It's Hakimi though that has won the award for the first time in his career, having won a treble, including the Champions League, with PSG last season. "It's really an honor for me to win this prestigious trophy," Hakimi said. "This trophy is not just for me, it is for all the Africans that have dreams." Hakimi claims the award for the first time, having finished as runner-up in 2023 and 2024, with the Moroccan international also set to be at next year's World Cup. The defender faces a race against time to be fit for the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations though, which is set to be held in his home country. Hakimi is recovering from an ankle injury, with Morocco hopeful he will be fit in time for the start of the tournament on December 21st. "We will do our best to win the AFCON trophy," Hakimi added. "I'd like to thank my physiotherapists and those that support me in this difficult period." Morocco captain Ghislaine Chebok won the women's prize, beating international teammates Sanam Saudi and Nigeria's Rashidat Ajibade to the award. Salah missed out on making it a hat-trick of awards, having previously won the prize in 2017 and 2018. The 33-year-old has since finished inside the top three on 4 other occasions. Salah will be reporting back to Liverpool this week ahead of the Reds' return to action in the Premier League against Nottingham Forest on Saturday. The winger played the full 90 minutes for Egypt in its 2-0 defeat to Uzbekistan in the Al Ain International Cup last week, before being rested for the third-place playoff against Cape Verde, which the Pharaohs won after a penalty shootout. Salah will soon be heading off to Morocco as he looks to guide his country to an 8th Africa Cup of Nations title. Discussions are currently ongoing with Liverpool over him being released early for his international duties, with Egypt hoping to have him involved for a warm-up game against Nigeria on December 14th. Liverpool told Antoine Semenyo can offer what Mohamed Salah can't amid transfer clause. Former Liverpool star Danny Murphy believes Antoine Semenyo could be the ideal heir to Mohamed Salah's throne at Anfield and feels he could offer the Reds something they don't yet have. Semenyo finds himself the subject of heightened transfer speculation as the January window approaches, with recent reports revealing that he has an $85 million, £65 million, release clause in his contract. The clause must be triggered by a specific deadline in order to give Bournemouth time to find a replacement, although there are suggestions that the Cherries have reluctantly accepted that it might not be able to stop Semenyo from leaving, even as early as the January window. Liverpool is among the clubs to have been linked with the winger, with the Reds having already seen what Semenyo is capable of after he scored in Bournemouth's 4-2 defeat at Anfield earlier this season. The links with Semenyo come as Salah is yet again being touted for a potential move to Saudi Arabia, and Murphy feels there's no reason why his former club shouldn't be interested. When it was put to him on TalkSport that Liverpool already had enough with Salah and the signings made during the summer, Murphy responded, "Salah, when's he playing well and fit? Of course he is, but he's not going to be there forever. If you can get Semenyo, if you think his attributes add quality and a different option, you're going to be in the market for him at that price, because he's so powerful." I did say on Monday as well that it would be unrealistic to think they're going to bring him in without getting rid of one. I think they could easily let one go if he, Arne Slot, thinks he's an upgrade. The one thing he gives you which Liverpool don't have is this physical presence. He's electric, he's quick, but he's great in the air and he's two-footed. It's an amazing, unique set of talents. The other question I was asking, and why we got to Liverpool, is what clubs would be interested in him? I found it difficult to think that, if you're at Liverpool, you're looking at him and the price and thinking, why wouldn't you be? He's not super young, but I think it would be unusual if they weren't in for him when you think of Salah and how long he's got. 4 problems Arne Slot must solve on Liverpool return, including Florian Wirtz and Dominic Szoboszlai. Liverpool's players are set to be reporting back to the AXA training centre over the next couple of days as they turn their attentions back to club matters following the international break, and there's certainly plenty of work for them to do. The Reds are of course well off the sort of position that fans will have expected after last season's title triumph, and the subsequent summer spending spree that transformed the squad. With Nottingham Forest lying in wait on Saturday, Arne Slot has to find a way to get his side firing consistently again as they look to make up ground on Arsenal, and the Liverpool boss has more than a few problems to solve upon the Reds' return. Ekitike and Isak conundrum. It's the million-dollar question, or perhaps the $254 million question to be exact. What does Slot do with Alexander Isak and Hugo Ekitike? That's been answered for him over recent weeks with Isak out injured, but with the Premier League's most expensive signing of all time now back fit again, there's a big call to be made. Ekitike has been the more impressive of the pair so far, although even his goals have dried up recently for Liverpool, and the club isn't going to let its record signing just sit on the bench for too long. It should be Ekitike that has the spot up front right now, with Isak being eased back in after his layoff, but the Swede will be expected to emerge as the number one in time, that is, assuming there's just one spot up for grabs. Slot did experiment with both players in the same side just before Isak's injury, and it did seem to work to a degree during the first half against Eintracht Frankfurt. Then again, Liverpool's opponents didn't seem too preoccupied with defending that night. Will we see that experiment again? It would be a big call, given Liverpool has to hit the ground running now after the international break, and the upheaval it could cause in the rest of the team, but Slot has a decision to make one way or another. Where does Wirtz go? Slot has another rather expensive problem that he has to solve in the shape of Florian Wirtz. We have definitely not seen the best of the 23-year-old so far, and despite what the German media would have you believe, you can't pin the blame on Mohamed Salah. It seems clear that Slot still hasn't settled on Wirtz's best position in his side. He looked as though he may have hit upon the answer with a decent performance from the left against Real Madrid, but it was right back to square one against Manchester City. Everyone knows about Wirtz's talent, and it was on display during the international break. But how does Liverpool extract that talent? Slot needs to make a decisive call on where he sees him playing long-term for Liverpool, and stick to it. Szoboszlai and Kerkez heartbreak. Slot certainly has enough on his plate at the moment at Liverpool, but the international break will have thrown up a different sort of challenge for him regarding two of his players. Dominik Szoboszlai and Milos Kerkez wouldn't be human if they didn't arrive back on Merseyside still feeling down after the way in which Hungary had its playoff place snatched away from it by the Republic of Ireland. Slot now has to ensure that heartbreak doesn't affect their game back with the Reds. Szoboszlai has arguably been Liverpool's best player so far this season, while Kerkez has struggled to find his feet, which presents its own unique challenge. Szoboszlai will likely get the chance to shake off that defeat in Budapest almost immediately, but Kerkez is certainly not guaranteed that luxury, especially with a buoyant Andy Robertson to contend with at left back. Slot's title might be head coach, but his management skills are going to be tested on that front. Contract calls. Perhaps not wholly a situation where Slot will have the final say, but certainly one where he needs to have his say, is the contract uncertainty surrounding two of his players. Both Robertson and Ibrahima Konate are set to see their current deals expire in the summer, and although there might not be the same level of drama that surrounded Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold last year, it is nevertheless important that Liverpool gets this situation under control. Konate has addressed recent reports over his future during the international break, and has suggested that he wants to make an announcement soon. Considering January isn't too far away and he'll be free to negotiate a pre-contract agreement with a foreign club then, you can see why his comments are particularly significant right now.